Tonight on the Agenda Setters, fractures emerge at a Victorian powerhouse as the players start to question the coach. Caroline Wilson with details on a top four contender closing in on two big-name recruits. Daisy's had enough of the smiling Blues, and Luke Hodge questions a big-name coach's tactics. It's all coming up. Strap yourself in for a big Agenda Setters. Good evening and welcome in to a big Agenda Setters tonight. Let's get straight into it and welcome the panel. Football's most influential voice is Caroline Wilson. Caro, great to have you back.
Good to see you, Kane.
The high-flying All-Australian Premiership star is Daisy Thomas. Daisy.
Good evening, Corn.
He's going to be in good form tonight. And the dual All-Australian, the four-time Premiership hero is Luke Hodge. Thanks, Hodgie.
Let's go.
Nice haircut, by the way.
I was waiting for you to go.
You're looking very sharp.
They took a little bit
you
too
look
much.
10 years younger. But, Caro, we start with you tonight, as always. And this Jack Silvagni saga has taken a different twist in the last 24 hours.
It's become personal, Kane. It's become personal for the Carlton board and for the Carlton membership. Up until yesterday, really, this deal, and I think it was 6 or 8 weeks ago that Carlton offered Jack Silvagni a 4-year deal. For the first time, really, he's a serious free agent and a serious player on the free agency market. Well, yesterday, I think the realisation from Graham Wright that this was becoming a major issue and that Jack mightn't realise just how much he is wanted at Carlton prompted Graham Wright to get in touch with Jack Silvagni. They had a long conversation. I think Graham Wright is genuinely concerned for Jack. He would know that this would be something that is absolutely tearing him in two about what he's going to do. Collingwood, it's been reported, have pretty much matched the Carlton offer. Now, you know, for some people this would just be unthinkable. And it's personal too, it must be said. And I'm putting words in their mouths. But the fallout between Graham Wright and his former housemate and Premiership teammate Craig Kelly is immeasurable. They haven't spoken since Graham Wright left Collingwood. Graham Wright also fell out with the Collingwood list manager in Justin Leppich. Now, these two guys are making a big play with the manager, Tom Petroro, who is great mates with all three of these big, high-flying executives, very, very close with all of them, and in fact manages Justin Leppich. So I think Jack Silvagni is genuinely torn now, and I think, Dale, if he felt maybe a few weeks ago that Carlton weren't really pulling out all stops to keep him, I think that Graham Wright has now left him in no uncertain terms how much Carlton rate him and want him.
Yeah, I think it probably started with the fans. If you read through any of this, when it was rumoured that Collingwood had reached out, and I'm obviously very good mates with Jack. We don't speak about matters of this nature purely for the fact that there is such a conflict. But reading between the lines with all of this, so Collingwood, and it became rumoured that they'd put an offer to Jack. And at that point, I think Graham Wright really went, right, is this for the first time something we have to seriously consider and make sure it is known to Jack Silvagni how wanted he is by this football club, not just by the members, but also how loved he is internally and how valued he is actually as a player. Take away the romance of the father-son and everything like that. But the next part is, in making some phone calls today and ringing around other Melbourne clubs, nobody else really thought this was ever going to happen. It was Jack Silvagni, he's Carlton, he's rusted on, the old man's a legend, etc., etc., etc. Today, now that the door has been left ajar a little bit, there's other Melbourne clubs that have gone, OK, we're sensing opportunity here. There's a chance that we may be able to pry him out, and it's not just Collingwood now that are in the running to try and secure his signature.
But Daisy, you're saying that he's desperate to be kept there. He's been the first one to be dropped. They've used him full-back, they've used him as a backup ruckman, they've used him at centre-forward, they've dropped him every year.
Now
He's done his
desperate.
knee. So why has that changed and they're all of a sudden real desperate to keep him?
Well, and this becomes the beauty of having a new lens come in under Graham Wright, who's seen it from a different perspective. But you're right, if I'm Jack Silvagni, I'm sitting there going, well, why do I stay? What do I actually owe this club? I've carried the burden of the father-son, which, you know, there's no reason for that. That wasn't put upon him for any other reason that his dad was an absolute superstar. But that has been something he's carried. He's been last in, first out so many times. He's been played as a forward, then been put in the ruck, put the shin pad on, used as a tagger, and then settled down back. The fans are in such uproar because they know when they come to footy and they see Jack Silvagni run out for their football side, he's bringing maximum effort. He plays with the heart and soul that you want in a footballer, and now he's got a skill set. He's been given a position that he's locked down. He's become one of the premium defenders in the comp.
With that as well, though, if I'm Jack Silvagni, I'm sitting down going, well, this is a club who played in premium 2 years ago. They've really fallen off the mantle now, and a premiership contender has come to me with the same year contract, similar money.
So you'd go?
I'm sitting.
You'd have to.
You'd considering he's set there. He's been loyal to that football club. And all of a sudden there's a premiership contender coming saying it's not as if we're paying you 200 grand less. We're paying you similar dollars, same years, and you could have a premiership medal at the end of next year or the year after.
I think Carlton's offer will increase, and I think the board have definitely had a look at this, and I think in a week where Charlie Curnow has signalled his want to perhaps look for greener pastures or warmer pastures, with the knowledge that Tom de Koning is going, with that frankly pathetic first quarter effort last week in what was a massive milestone game and farewell game for two favourite sons. This is a club in... It really is close to turmoil now. The players and morale is so low.
Have the players lost faith in Michael Voss, Caro?
I believe they have. I don't believe... I can't speak for every single player, but you don't often say that you're hearing that, and that is definitely...
So if you're hearing that, that would mean it's coming to an
They
end.
have enormous affection and respect for Michael Voss, but they've just looked at Michael Voss and said, what has happened this year? We haven't improved. What's happened? Nothing's happened. And I know that first game took the wind out of everyone's sails and really destroyed their morale for weeks and months, but it's more than that now. And you saw it on Patrick Cripps's face.
So do you think it's at the point that it's untenable now at the end of the year for him to go on? Has it got to that level?
I now think for the first time that Michael Voss is in real danger of losing his job. Yes, I do.
Daisy, what are you noticing with the Blues? Because you're frustrated with it.
I have been, and I've been a lot like a lot of their supporters in looking at them and going, what is it? Where is the hard edge? Where is the competitiveness of a side that has been playing no good for the entirety of the season? We've had 12 losses and 7 wins. Shake hands against a side that you line up next to like this, you make it just a fair, fun game, you lose the game of footy. There is not one defender there. At park football, you're told to shake hands, whatever it may be, but then you defend, you put an arm across, you've got touch, you're shoving, you're playing with some sort of aggression, some sort of passion, some sort of intent to show the opposition that they're there and they're going to have a tough day.
I can't stand this.
I can understand the handshake, I get that.
I can't, and you're usually pretty supportive of the players, so for you to get to this point says to me that this is extreme.
You shake hands, you take 2 steps back as a defender and you put your elbow in their back. And if they turn around, you tell them that's it all night. If they don't turn around, you do it again.
That's awful.
I like the shaking hands, but
as soon as you shake hands,
the hardest, toughest leader likes shaking hands.
It's all about respect. You shake it at the start, you shake it at the end, no matter what happens. But then
she's on.
As soon as that siren starts, you show intensity, you show care, and you show that you want to wear that jumper. And the Caro, the fact that you said that the players had lost the respect for Vossi, or not the respect, but the trust in him. It's the effort. Cowan, there's your young guy. Yeah. He could have chased Watson all the way to the goal square. I could have found time and time again of Carlton blokes not giving their all. So if you're talking about the Carlton supporters who love Silvagni, who want to go and watch him because he gives everything, there's so many players on this field. Look at Sard, an experienced player. He turns now. He's in the right position. He should go and get that ball. We all talk about how fast he is. He stopped, let Watson get the ball and give up another goal. So you talk about the intensity and the work rate. I want you to show a Hawthorn who have come from the bottom through blokes like a Moore, a Ward. They're the two that are circled there. Ward's about to get the ball. Moore is in the defensive 50. And I want you to look at the amount of blokes that he runs past from the Carlton Football Club. They're just moseying around here, but all of a sudden you got Carlton. There's 3 or 4 Carlton blokes that Ward's in front of and Moore's behind. Watch where they finish up, Kane, because you know work ethic in a game of football. You shows the care. One of those there is the skipper. I think Cripper is mentally and physically fatigued. I'd love to see him give him a break because he's worn everything from that football club.
So Cripps is bottom left there?
Yep, there's Cheras in the middle who went nowhere near. So these blokes, there's not even a point, and I understand that some of these guys can't run with a Ward, can't run with a Moore, but there's no intensity to point across and say, pick him up, direct, chase him, help me out. All the stuff that you need to do to be a good defensive unit. That's why teams can go coast to coast, and they're sitting where they are. So I sit back and go, you can go at the coach and say you've lost confidence in the coach, Caro, but when I see performances like that, if I was a leadership person at Carlton or if I was a player, I'd be looking internally to say, what am I doing?
Cripper's probably had enough. He's probably done that.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
I
I could sit back and say, give that man a break because he's done it for so long. but all of a sudden he looks mentally fatigued, he looks tired. Give him a break, but let some other guys stand up and show that they've got some leadership capabilities. Like that performance from Saad. If Vossi's getting to the stage where he goes, I've had enough, I want the Silvani attitude, I'll drop him and say, come with your best attitude.
So you drop Saad this
Effort
week?
is free. That's all it is. You go and give energy, give effort. It costs you nothing, but it shows a good attitude, and some of those blokes just aren't doing it.
That vision there doesn't get it done on any of the big stages, but the concern now with Carlton is when is the success coming? When's the opportunity for success? Because we all thought it was headed that way with making it to a prelim and then playing some finals. It looks now that they've fallen back off the same cliff and they've gone back to the same spot. And now there's the questions of how are we back in this exact same spot again, where it's looking like the best players want to leave and what you're left with isn't going to be good enough to compete.
You've got one of the most respected list bosses in the AFL, who's now the CEO, but will surely be having a big say in the restructuring of that list. He did it at Hawthorn, he did it at Collingwood, he's worked at, the experience is enormous. Now, I'm sure he's telling players like Jack Silvani, there's a plan here.
So they think they're close still. They still think they're in the mix to be there to win a premiership with this group.
If you're Jack Silvani, though, are you frustrated because it's taken a new set of eyes to come in to make you feel valued?
Of course you're frustrated, but I look at Matthew Richardson, who could have gone to Carlton and stayed. And you ask him now, of course he wishes he'd won a flag, but he's so happy he remained a one-club player because of the Richardson name.
Matthew Richardson was respected and loved by Richmond players and the club his whole career. I don't think Jack's feeling the same love.
I think he is a bit more today.
Caro, we'll move on. We'll move on because we've got to keep the show rolling. And Brisbane have got their eye on a couple of big-name recruits. What can you tell us?
Yeah, well, look, I think that both Oscar Allen, who is a near certainty now to sign with Brisbane, is going to be joined by Sam Draper. Now, it's been mentioned in dispatches in recent days, but I'm getting more and more confident that that is going to happen for the Brisbane Lions, who, it must be said, have been unbelievable in luring big-name free agents and mature players to the club and developing from the bottom. In fact, they've been sort of rebuilding on the run, haven't they, Luke, while they've been defending their premiership this year?
Yeah, I think they've brought in the Ashcrofts, they've brought in Morris, they've brought in Fletcher as well. So they've got all these young kids who have come in and been able to, Wilmot's another one, have a real impact.
Do you like those two for the Lions? Solve the problem.
Look, I think they to fill Danaher's position, going to get Oscar Allen. And then the other one, Oscar McInerney's been an absolute star for the Brisbane Lions. I think he's averaged 22, 23 games the last 6 years, but he's played 11 this year, and there's a real concern with his back. So whether they're talking to
he's really banged up.
He's a heart and soul player. So if they could get him right, they would keep him without a shadow. I think they're looking as a fallback plan in case this back is a real issue for him.
Speaking of heart and soul players, Dane Zorko got himself into a little bit of trouble today. He was fined $3,000 for an obscene bit of language, there it is, for the insulting and profane language directed towards the officials' bench as he exited the field of play during the last quarter in the round 19 game between the Brisbane Lions and the Western Bulldogs. Him and Chris Fagan were speaking about this. You can see post-game just having a discussion on what we believe they were sort of discussing with this here after maybe Chris was on the bench and heard it.
No, I think Chris had told him earlier on, mate, just calm down. I think now they're just having a talk about the game. But look, I think what happened, Kane, was this was a bit of a taking out the trash story. That fine was announced late last week on either Thursday or Friday night. Dane actually turned it into a bigger story this morning. Can we have a listen to his comments on SEN in Queensland this morning?
Yeah, it's an absolute joke, guys. But anyway, yeah, witch hunt's back out on me, which is obviously nice. So, yeah, look, we've seeked further clarification and hopefully we'll get that. But, yeah, you can't have any frustrations in this game anymore. You've got to be an absolute robot.
So he didn't direct his comments at one particular official on the bench, but he called the group of them a bunch of, you can imagine what he called them. And
well, we can't imagine. Can you give us a bit more of a lead?
Two of the worst.
Two of the worst.
The two worst.
Swear
the two
words.
worst.
Okay.
And look, the Players Association are involved in this now because, you know, Paul Marsh, as he left, was trying still to develop this sanction of fines to have some uniformity. We know Max Holmes got into a bit of strife a few weeks ago when I think it was the Brisbane game at the Cattery, and he received a warning for comments he made. We won't bother showing the vision because we've just got, I think his captain, Patrick Dangerfield, trying to get him to calm down. But there is no uniformity. I guess there is a Dane Zorko tax, isn't there?
Well, that's what he's saying there. He thinks he's been harshly treated. What do you think?
I guess when I played, I was very vocal to the umpires and sometimes gave them some feedback. And the feedback back to me was, if you're going to give them an opportunity to pay a free kick, fine you, they'll go at you. And I think that's the same advice that the lines will be given to Dane Zorko. Don't give them an opportunity to go and fine you. Don't go and vent your frustrations to the umpires or the umpires on the boundary line, because umpires on the field will give you a free kick, and then the ones on the boundary line
how did
will
you
fine
change your
you.
ways?
I got told very firmly by coaches to pull my head in and stop talking about the umpires, and things started to change.
I mean, he's 35. He's probably not going to change now, Dane Zorko. It's probably what makes him great. Does he need to pull his head in?
This feedback was given when I was 27, 28, when you're going through that stage. I think for him, he's a very passionate person, and you've seen in the past where Fagan and some other leaders, Lockie Neal, has tried to settle him down. So he wears his heart on his sleeve, but maybe he goes to his teammates and vents rather than the umpires, because if you give them an opportunity, they're going to take it and fine you as they have.
Well, maybe they're just a little bit precious, as he's suggesting. Anyway, speaking of frustrations with the AFL, Chris Scott aired his on SEN yesterday morning.
I mean, we've even had the feedback that they won't clarify situations from other games. They'll only give us clarification on specific issues from our game, which doesn't make sense. I mean, that stuff should be broadcast loud and clear to not only the clubs, but the whole footy industry.
It was a long conversation, and clearly he's incredibly frustrated, as he shared yesterday morning, Caro, but I think it stems from a lack of communication or a specific person that you can air those frustrations to if you want clarification over rules or umpiring or issues in the game.
With Steve McBurney,
Is it true? Is it
boss.
true that there is a generic email only that the AFL clubs can go to? A generic, and not a specific person?
Yep.
A generic email. How are we at that
look,
position?
Well, that's why Greg Swan's come in, because he can pick up the phone and ring him. And they did pick up the phone and ring Laura Kane. Didn't always get the discussion they wanted. You can ring Steve McBurney, but he is not liked by the coaches, or he's not liked as someone they feel they can
Do you
communicate
think his
with.
position's in danger with the changes?
Oh, Greg Swan's going to make a lot of changes by the time next season starts, I
So
reckon.
if the clubs aren't happy, they're
Look,
unsatisfied,
I think
then
it's
he
really
would be
tough
in.
on Brisbane that Greg Swan left when he did. And I thought it was incumbent on the AFL to say, you're the CEO of a club defending a premiership, stay till the end of the year, but they didn't. They were desperate to get him, I gather, because he left mid-season. I think it would have been nice for Brisbane if he'd been there till the end of the year. No disrespect to Sam Graham. So he's there, clearly, to have a look at what's going on and make changes. But the fact that if you're a club, you can't... First of all, there's frustration. You have to actually pay umpires to come down and help umpire your pre-season training, and you're not allowed to ask them rule questions. And you're not allowed to say, well, Kane, this is what happened in the Port Adelaide game. We're playing them next week. Can you explain why? No, you can only talk about decisions that happened in your game.
Comical.
Now, that's extraordinary.
It's comical, and the coaches
It's
have had
becoming
enough.
almost that the coaches are feeling the umpires are overpaid and don't do enough work. They don't want full-time umpires, but they want them there more than 3 hours a week.
All right, we're up and running on the agenda set. There's still plenty more to come. Hodgie has his say on the Saints. Buddy has his say on Clarko. And are the Swans tough and timid? Also the Stocks, where these two get up at the plasma and take us through the events of the week. Stick around, you're watching the Agenda Setters. Thanks for your company and welcome back to the Agenda Setters. Well, I reckon the Swans are starting to get a reputation, and not a good one, for throwing their weight around when it doesn't really matter. So I'm seeing it at the start of games. They're getting in the face of the opposition. We're seeing it here after goals with Papley and Green. We're seeing it at halftime and in breaks. And this is all well and good. This is fine if you can back it up with your on-field actions. But what I saw on the weekend was a team that was prepared to do this off the ball at halftime, the verbal stuff when you've got a nice little lead. But then when the second half starts, this is what they produced, and it's starting to become an issue for them. So outscored by 51 for the quarter. It was absolutely brilliant from the Giants, but pathetic from the Swans. You can see there all the numbers, their kicking efficiency, their stoppage scores, and this is what it looked like. So this is the first minute of the third quarter after they'd done the push and shove at half time, and this was a walk in the park. It was an absolute training drill for the Giants, and it's not for the first time with Sydney. We've seen it on grand final day where this side talks the talk, but capitulates when this happens. So 10 goals in this quarter. We saw them lose the grand final by a big margin. The walk-in stuff, letting players run around the back and get handball received. So I reckon if you're going to do it, and the push and shove, you'd want to back it up with your actions, and it's starting to become a bit of an issue for the Swans.
Kane, the push and stuff that stuff should happen midway through the third quarter. When your back's against the wall and the momentum's going with the opposition team, that's when you should do it, to try and unsettle them and get your teammates into the game. So if you're doing it when you're up, it's more important to do it when you're down to try and change the momentum.
Yep, all right.
So,
Caro, Toby, you're strong on this.
Well, I had a crack at Toby last night, and Dave Matthews, his CEO, said it was disappointing as well, and that Jason McCartney, the footy boss, had spoken to him because they're so disappointed that he keeps often getting suspended, particularly in big games. But I was fascinated. We know some vision emerged via the AFL of behind the goal vision.
Kick, yep.
So I thought Dave Matthews, the CEO, when he was interviewed this morning on SEN, I thought his response was fascinating.
I think the other part that's probably missing there is the lead-up. There's a fair bit going on before the siren, and Rampy thumped him in the back. Should have been a free kick. Probably if the free kick was paid or Toby was protected a bit more, we probably don't find ourselves in this circumstance.
I mean, come on, Dave.
Isn't that what all clubs do, though? Don't they all defend their players?
I know, but I mean, they dish it out on the one hand and they take it back on the other.
In fairness, though, Rampy, what he did, he shouldn't have done. That's not Rampy. What Green did, he shouldn't have. Like, thrown a leg back into that area.
Yep.
But he's right on the other hand that if the umpire paid a free kick against Rampy, he's not going to do that. It's their kick, and off they go and play.
And dare I say, backdating to Dane Zorko, I mean, that's why he cracked it at the officials' bench 2 weeks ago in the Bulldogs game, because he came off the ground covered in blood. He'd missed one free kick, something else had happened. I mean, he probably had a right to be a bit frustrated. I forgot to say earlier that Kitty Coleman, unfortunately, I think is out for the season. He was playing in the twos last week and suffered a high-grade quad injury. Definitely won't be back. Potentially, no, I think they've pretty much ruled him out for the rest of the year.
That's two there back end. Noah Ainsworth with his
massive
Achilles, and then Kitty Coleman.
Breaking news, Kitty Coleman out for the remainder of the season for the Lions. The package is delivering.
He is, absolutely, and this is the reason why the GWS Giants went and got Jake Stringer. A lot was made of it at the time, but these are just some things. This is the third quarter, which we touched on, the first play out of it. He's trying to get himself involved in the game. Hadn't had a huge impact. These are the differences in his game there. That is a celebration. That is not a point to another teammate. That is not a spray. 3 minutes later, ball comes in, dribbled along the ground, not to my man. What do? No, I'll get involved. Absolutely join in on team defence. Ball comes out. Toby Green kicked this to them in an off-ground side kick. You know I love that? Because that's two players who appreciate how smart they both are. You get the ball in the good ball user's hands. And this is the last one. This is the threat he's going to pose. You've got Cadman down there. You're going to have your man Hogan down there as well. What are you going to do? Who are you going to stop? You end up with Mills on a man who's too smart, too strong, and now too fit. And we were having a look at him, Hodgie. He looks like his physique now. He's got some muscle on that, and he's hard. He looks like he's hard and ready to play at the level.
You can tell through his chest and shoulders that he's put a lot of work in, done a lot of hard work in the off-season while he was injured as well, and it's paying off.
Love the fact that Adam Kingsley has made him earn it. I think he's coached him extremely well this year, and he looks hungry. The Saints stormed home, kicking 9 in the last quarter.
Yeah,
what did you notice in the first 3 quarters, though?
What I noticed was just their ball movement. So we know Ross's style is that more build-up, a bit slower, more of a defensive. If you look at the stats there, the marks in the corridor where it opens you up to go into your forward 50, they had 16 in the first 3 quarters. And then all of a sudden they thought, we're down, we're not playing great football, let's go for it. Let's take the game on, let's just try and go through the middle. They took 13 in the last quarter. And this is some of the vision where if they had this mindset of that last quarter. So Bradley Hill, he's a great kick. Look in the middle.
Yep.
He's gone through the middle, hit that kick there. He's got speed, he's got space in front of him. Be creative like they did in that last quarter, and we won't have these boring kind of games that they have. They've got the ability to do it. So this is what we just want them to do. This next one, you come through the middle part of it, pull back off the mark, as all teams do. If you hold with enough patience, you normally find it, and it's that man again in the middle, it's Taru in the middle, and as soon as you find that kick in there, they've got a one extra in the middle. Next thing, you got the open side of the ground for him to be creative.
He's too safe early, Ross, isn't he?
He is, but it was the same last year when they started to move the ball. They started to play good football, and we think, they've got a lesson. And look at this. How long does the ball stay in someone's hand? They turn around, they see a spare, they look into the middle. It means you've got half-backers running from the half-back line to be involved in the game. You've got half-forwards hitting up, you've got midfielders pushing forward. Everyone's moving because you know you're a chance of getting the ball. So I think if this is something we learned from the Saints, their season as far as September's gone, but this is something that they can take into next year, which we thought they did at the end of last year. Same again here. You look sideways, there's always open space. And look at the Melbourne midfields. They're all running throughout the corridor, tracking that ball because you've changed angles and kept the ball in motion.
Do you think Ross is bold enough to start games like this and not keep it the congested sort of ball fest that we've seen? They've kicked 100 points once this year. They had 25 entries to 3 quarters in this game. They had 18 in the last quarter. Why is he so safe early?
But the proof's in the pudding. Well, the reason why he's safe is because it took him to grand finals. And why would you go away from things when it's been so successful for? Yes, he fell short in a couple, but he still coached 3 or 4, I think it was, with the drawn one.
Game changes. It's a long time ago.
That's what I mean. The game has adapted, and I think if anything, we can look at what they did in last quarter. And I reckon if they played that kind of football, they're beating a lot of teams. They're getting the big crowds, and they're getting the Thursday, Friday night games. Because how exciting was that last quarter?
All right, we'll move on to North because you may be the only man left defending Alistair Clarkson this week. They've come from everywhere, including your former teammate Buddy Franklin.
I've been a big supporter of North and Clarko, and then I see that performance on the weekend. And I'm like, well, what direction are they going? They're that far off. Like, to let a guy kick 11 goals, running into open goals by himself, just
It was
pretty
the way
much
the
laughing.
goals
Pretty
were
much
kicked.
Pretty much laughing, Croft. And then you've got Dangerfield eating a souvlaki on the bench. You've got guys running to open goals. So it's sort of like, well, come on.
So Buddy's out. Are you still very confident that Clarko will be able to turn this ship around?
Well, I think they have to wait. I think what that club does need, the club needs stability. You've gone through a number of years where they've had changeover coaches, they've changed their list a lot, they've got in some senior guys, and what they dished up on the weekend was pathetic. There's no doubt about it. I think everyone would agree that's what they come up. Defensively, as Bud said, there was shots of Cameron by himself in the defensive 50. There's a bloke who's leading the Coleman. So what they do, they get rid of him. They're not going to get rid of him because they need stability. They need the same voice there for the next 2 years.
The impact,
what do they do?
The way they defended, I thought they went through a patch in the middle part of the year where contested possession, all that kind of stuff, you think they're starting to make a bit of an improvement. I thought, hang on, here it comes. Defensively, it can be tricky because you need everyone in sync, but what they dished up was just not on. And they've got, 4 games to go over the end of the season where they need to start to focus on certain areas because if they're putting up the same stuff this time next year, there's going to be massive concerns for each job.
I was with you with North and we were trying to hang on to the same bus. Comben didn't go back until late in the third, if not early in the fourth, and he was the only one that looked like he could stop anything. Why would it take so long to pull that trigger when it was clearly quarter time, halfway through the second quarter, something needed to change?
I reckon when he had 5, it would have been the stage that you go back there. I'm the same as you. I'm sitting back watching that game going, I don't know, you're scratching your head going to do something. Put 10 blokes behind the ball to slow them up.
Are they then looking at their list and leaving blokes there and going, right, at the end of the year, this is clearly, they can't play in the same defence together? Is this like a list exercise on the run?
We're just guessing.
We are speculating, but I'm trying to figure...
There'll be big changes in the footy department, but they're not going to remove the coach because he has 2 more years on his contract at $1 million. Can we just go back to your old teammate, Buddy, and have a listen to what he said about the Carlton coach recently?
I think this is a big call. I don't think he sees out the year. I think they've, as you said, I think they've got a pretty good list. I do. I think that it's a big issue is the messaging is not getting through.
I'm not sitting on the fence from Bud.
Well, 2 points. I think that happened quite soon after a Hawthorn Premiership reunion. I just wonder if there were some people there, officials there, who might have worked at both Hawthorn and Carlton. Anyway,
tell me more about that. What are you saying? You can't say that and then not give us more information.
Well, I can't say any more than that. But
who's the official?
You're suggesting someone's worded Buddy up.
Yeah, I am saying that. I'm also saying that I find it pretty funny that a bloke who was so media shy, who you had to almost spend 5 years negotiating to say hello to Lance, and I really liked him and I really enjoyed his company, but it's pretty funny that he was so media shy he wouldn't even say goodbye to his own supporters at the Sydney Swans. He got on a plane and went to the Gold Coast, wouldn't even have a press conference. John Longmire had to hold it.
Yeah,
he's gone on 2 podcasts and he's sacked 2 coaches.
Caro, can you, first of all, he's a shy person. Who's he doing the podcast with? No. Who's he doing?
With his great mate
he's not
Shane
doing. He's not
Crawford.
doing it in front of a massive audience, in front of thousands, but he's doing it there.
Oh, so he doesn't realise other people are
No,
listening.
but that's where he feels comfortable. If you sit down and talk to Bud knows what's going on with football. He's very
I
astute
agree.
and he's understand the game
I
very
agree,
well.
and I used to say to him, he came on 3AW once and he was fabulous.
Yeah,
I
but
said,
that's the thing is,
why don't you do it more?
Because Bud knew if he went and spoke in the media when he was playing, everything would be about Bud, and he hated any attention about
Oh,
him.
please. It became more
please.
about him because he didn't speak.
Because he didn't want it to be about him. Anything Bud did when he played,
It was
the
all
attention
about
was
him,
on
and
him.
it should have been. He was a champion.
No, he's a team player.
I still haven't forgiven him for refusing to do that farewell press
There was a grudge.
conference.
That's what that grudge. That's
No,
where we
but-
get to the bottom.
No,
we
but
found out where we're going.
That was disrespectful to the Sydney Swans. And it's just quite funny that he's been doing podcasts now for 2 or 3 months and he's pretty much sacked Michael Voss and said that his 2-time premiership coach was a bit of a dud.
If someone went to Bud and said, you can sit back with a good mate of yours and we'll just talk football when he was 20, he would have done that. He loves talking footy. He loves
would not
football.
have made those statements.
No, he wouldn't have. But he's more knowledgeable now, so you understand the game a lot more than what when you're 35
It's
than
not
what you did back then.
I'm just commenting at the irony
Just that grudge.
of it.
Let go of that grudge, Caro. He said
no-
no to you.
He didn't say no to me. He said no to the Sydney
All right, you
Swans.
two. I'm still playing Survivor. People
look,
ask
this
me,
game.
what does this mean? What do you mean? It
Where
just
are we
means you
at?
haven't been outmarked. Those idiots that don't know what he's going, you have not been outmarked. Either you mark it or the ball comes to ground. There's the ones left. I'm still with Michael Laney.
It
He's
hasn't
probably
changed
done.
from last week.
No, it's good, Caro. It's a good
Half
stat.
of them
I'm
didn't
sticking
play.
with it.
It's not good.
And it does buy us some time to get these two to the plasma for the stocks.
Survivor, I'm not sure. Maybe one more week. Hodgie, as always, sir, the new ball is yours.
Yes, mate, yes. Next week I will be sacking the survivors. That's terrible, Kane. Anyway, this week, Harry O'Farrell. He's a man
You're
that I
buying
saw...
something from the Blues.
Mate, from the Blues. I love a young kid who backs himself, who has a red-hot crack. What I saw in the middle of the ground, they were under the pump. It was a big game. He left his opponent, gone, made a massive contest in the middle. This one here, he backs back across the pack, takes a nice little intercept mark. And this one here, a good pack mark. He's someone who's confident enough to leave. He's still young. He's still got a lot to learn, but he showed enough signs there for me to buy him. He's in my bag.
Would you like him next to Silvani?
Yes.
There you go. I'm buying having a little bit of fun. We all know what happened at halftime in the Giants game. This was a little bounce back after that.
I was sitting on the couch at midnight. I got home and I was just, watching Tour de France, I think, and on my Instagram message, Tom Papley comes up. I go, oh, here we go. I was like, what's this going to be? And it's just a photo of him eating McDonald's. It was pretty funny.
Still happy to have a laugh about it. Macca's photo, that of course is on the TFG Tuesdays podcast.
Is that my man Sheridan?
That is your man Tommy Sheridan,
Good
Oz
podcast.
American Nations. Make sure you
Good
check it out.
podcast.
What are you holding, please, Luke?
I'm holding the Brisbane Lions. Everyone here has jumped on them. They were terrible against
They
the
were.
Suns. They were no good.
Correct.
And yes, I was watching that game and the stats showed on how bad they were inside 50s. They were around the ball. They were beaten up. But this is a team who's still sitting in the top 4. Yes, they've got a few hard games coming up, but don't stress. They know what they've been out of the finals last year. They won 4 games from after 12 rounds.
Okay.
They came back. They know how to play finals. Let's just take it easy. It was one bad mess-up.
Okay, there is the hold. I am holding the chase for the ton with Big Jezza. Now, sitting there, he's kicked 11 on the weekend, taking the absolute mickey. Have a look at the run home here. So Port Adelaide, they've conceded 20 goals on the weekend. We know that Essendon, they conceded 7 goals to Norton, 6 to Darcy. The Swans are gettable, the
There's a few there.
MCG. 3 finals as well. 100,000 grand final days for 100 goals. Good luck trying to stop the punters jumping the fence, the AFL. So,
I am selling you.
Oh, yes.
I'm selling you.
Hey,
yes.
I'm
I
selling
like
you.
this.
Do you know what? We're sitting back on Thursday night footy. Ginnivan, first goal for Hawthorn, gets up, snaps it from the outside of the boot.
Daisy.
And it looks very, very nice. Stuff that Daisy used to be able to do. And he starts this little strut. I'm sitting there with
What
Kane
is
and we're
it?
going,
What is
what are we
it?
doing?
Yep.
Next thing, my phone pips. I'm like, my good old colleague, he'll jump in and just tell me what it is. And he goes, oh, it's the dance from the kid on the front of the
Eurofarming.
boat that's doing over in Indonesia doing that
Yeah,
little dance.
this
This
would
one
be
here.
boy.
So I was about to go on live air just to say this, and then Daisy comes back with oh no, it's the wrong one. It's the Telstra one. So I'm selling you for
it was
giving
the
me
Telstra
wrong
one.
advice.
It's the Telstra one. This kid's a
Mate.
phenomenon too. Well, you know what? If you're selling that, I'm selling Friday night footy. I'm not there this week. See you later, Corn. You're jumping in the hot seat.
Big game.
I'm with you on Thursday
there
night,
we
so you don't have to worry
go.
about your text messages. There you go. So if you want to get along and have a look at the Western Bulldogs Giants live, scan that QR code on your screen and you can go along with a mate for free. Bring a friend for free to the Western Bulldogs and the Giants games. That's been the Stocks. Up next, the Spill. Corn, get us to the break, please.
Game Thursday night live.
20 weeks to go to the Cane.
Spill's
Off you go,
coming up
Cane.
next. Stick around. Friday night footy. Time now for the Mark of the Year contenders. That guy got up nice and high. Couch of the Year, what a star he is going to be. Had a huge impact on Thursday night for the Hawks, Daisy.
Yes, very, very good. And this man, Jasper Fletcher Hodgie, I told you he was going to be a star. I told you he had this in the kit bag. And that is, in those conditions, that is a dead set screamer.
Who you got,
That is a
Hodgie?
massive hanger. Liam Ryan, who we all know he can get up and take a hanger. That's actually 3 very, very good marks this week. Who you got? I've got Ryan. You
I'm
got
going to
Fletcher?
take Fletcher.
Yeah, I'll
and
take
if you want to
Fletcher.
get involved for your chance to win $5,000 in cash, you can vote now at afl.com.au/Mark of the Year as we get straight into the spill, which is all thanks to Better That Is Better. And Caro, you're up first as always. We just saw the marks of the week. The judges got it wrong.
Kane, I'm sorry. Nazaya Wanganeen Malira? Anyone?
How did this happen?
What a joke that we are going to get.
It's a good contested
We're
mark.
going
That's-
to. Oh,
It's the 4th best mark of the ones we saw.
well, I would argue it's as good as the first one, and I would also
What
argue
deer on the top of a draftee?
In the-
Retire.
Is it the Mark of the Year for you so far?
the fact that we'll get to Brownlow night and that guy and that mark won't even be
was-
mentioned is a travesty.
That was play or situation. It wasn't mark of the round. Those other 3
You
were
gotta
way
factor
better than
now.
that.
You got to factor that in.
No, you don't. It's mark of the round. It's not the situational play.
You can
You
talk
sort
about
it
this
out.
later.
What
But
You
about
know.
it's
arguing
driving this degree of difficulty, and there should be
Lot
a
of
mark of the
arguing
week
between
too.
you.
There is. It's sort of weird that we're getting along best, Corn. This question is to you.
Very weird.
Perth isn't ready for the departure of Harley Reid.
Yeah, it's a lovely observation by you because they're just not. The coverage of this, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, another woeful season the Eagles end. So that's just for an injury. Imagine if he leaves. Imagine if he leaves town. That's the back page for an injury that he's going to miss 4 weeks for. If that guy leaves, that place will go into meltdown. They're not ready.
Daisy, the Crows haven't given up on their chase for a star.
That is correct. And if they do get this star, that was Nasai Wanganeen Millera, is the fact that Corn, Caro, you guys brought this to the Crows' attention that maybe he wasn't that keen. And since then, he made the reach out to Tex Walker just to clear the air. And ever since then, apparently, things have been getting along famously behind the scenes, including group chats with other players. So they just might be the secret weapon. You two have gone and done the Crows.
I don't know how you got me involved in this. It's Caro's breaking big story. How you've lumped me into this.
You were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Listen, I'm sticking to my guns, but things do change sometimes.
No,
too.
I'm just...
A story can be right on Monday and wrong on Friday.
I never said anything about that.
Welcome
I just
to
said
Journalism
the
Day.
Crows should just be very grateful to you two.
Luke.
Thank you.
Yes,
Good
Thank
Caroline.
you.
No worries.
Look, Max Gawn should hand over the Melbourne captaincy.
Oh, Caroline.
Do you think so?
I don't actually.
No, neither do I. I think that's ridiculous. I think Max, he stands up in big moments. I think he'll sit back on Monday and go, look, as leaders, we should have been better. I think there's been a lot of things that's happened to that football club over the last 2 or 3 years that they've tried to work on to be better leaders and a better football club, but I think he should stay as captain of the
No
Melbourne
idea
Football
who
Club.
would captain Melbourne if
No,
it wasn't
there's
Max Gawn.
not exactly a great contender
There's
for
no
number
one,
2, is there?
Not one person putting
He
their
can't
hand
do
up.
much more than what
Daisy,
he's doing.
Brody Grundy isn't the best big man, I should say. The Pies let go.
That is correct, and it's not Lockie Keefe either. It is Jared Witts up at the Gold Coast Suns and what he is doing. Not only is his skill level probably slightly underestimated and he doesn't have the ball a whole lot, but his presentation down the line in big conditions, in big moments was fantastic, and this has been going on for a couple of years now. His service to that midfield, they get it out the front door, they win games because of it, but this bloke is having a hell of a
Did
year.
you just react because Dimmer said to have a look at his game, post-game?
No, not one bit.
Okay.
I bought him in the stocks in round 4 if you'd like to keep the receipt, Luke.
To be continued. Luke, I've got more faith in this one. Adam Kingsley would deliver the best spray of all the coaches.
I reckon that's right, Caro, even though I was supposed to go then. But I do agree, Caro, that...
You just jumped the gun one, Caro, but that's okay. A professional
I was so keen to ask it.
Yeah.
I do agree, Caroline. Here's what Finn Callahan has to say.
How big a spray was that from Adam Kingsley?
Probably the biggest he's ever given us. I reckon the biggest I received in my short AFL career. But look, we deserved it.
I do agree. He's intimidating. I think it's my turn now, Kane. But the Stack Suns are about to be scary good.
Well, you're speaking of Alex Davies, and he was awesome. We got coaches' votes on the weekend. I reckon he would be at St Kilda a top 10 player at the Saints. And you could probably say that about Port Adelaide. You could probably say it at North Melbourne. And he's probably the 24th, 25th best player at Gold Coast. So I just think it's going to be frightening what this team is going to develop into when you have depth of players like this that can step in and perform straight away in a big game against the reigning Premier.
They dropped Jed Walter as well and still had a performance like that.
Big call. Caro, the last one is for you. Greg Swan's biggest issue isn't on the footy field.
That is absolutely right. And we were on to this day one, Kane. Office Gate continues. Greg Swan was asked about his new office this morning when he came in and did the breakfast show.
You got the locked off office?
No, not yet. We have open plan in there at the moment, Tim.
You're not a free range guy, though. I'm detecting that.
Well, I am agitating for an office. But
I mean, come on.
Hang on. Do you know how many phone calls he's going to get from everyone? He needs privacy. He needs his own office.
Yeah.
He's a powerful man.
Just another story that Caro's broken right here on the Agenda Setters.
One of the bigger ones.
Having a huge year, you are, Caro. One of the best I've seen. Up next, speaking of Caro, Caro's conference is next.
And today's conference is all about famous celebrations off the back of the Brighton Hotel on Sunday night when Nazaya Wanganeen-Malira jumped on the shoulders of Ross Lyon and somebody filmed it. Now, it took me back to my all-time favourite, Stephen Kernahan. We won't play the audio, but who can remember, who could forget? In fact, you
just said we're not going to play it. He hates this.
I'm distancing myself from that audio, please, Sticks. I'm sorry.
Kane, you were there on the day that Port Adelaide won their first AFL premiership. And where were you when Mark Williams did this?
And Choco, have a look at him. Chokers no more, he says.
Did you see that?
No, the game's still going. Yeah, I heard the crowd roar. But the game's still, so at the time you didn't know, and it wasn't social media back then, so you don't find out about it until much later. It's not like today, you find out about it straight away. But you've got to factor in the lead up to this. Like the major sponsors said they would never win a premiership with him as coach. The back page of the paper for 3 years said that we were chokers, and then to get there, I understand the emotion, and that's what I love about him. Footy does strange things to people, Caro.
It certainly did that day. Dale was fabulous. Dale, have you got one?
I've got a few, none of my own. The Rat Pack, we all signed NDAs before any party, but we have Jeremy Cameron. This is one of my most recent favourites.
For the night. Go on.
So
Go on.
And I do see the watermark up the top that said 3 hours. That was at 6:40, I think he was demonstrating this. So at 3 o'clock, he'd given his premiership medallion to one of his new calves, and we think he's just gotten it back.
Now, I've not been told what this is, but I'm told we're saving the best till last.
I actually made a mistake. I thought, after watching Ross, I thought it was coaches dancing. So I went to my old coach, Chris Fagan, at my 40th last year, and I thought this is a celebration of Chris Fagan. The last song of the night, they played 3 last songs because he wouldn't get off the dance floor.
What was the song?
Can we see this from the start? Is that Grant Birchall off to the side? Is that Grant Birchall?
That may have been Grant Birchall.
Can we roll that again?
Give it another go.
So there's Fags having himself one hell of a time. The calves would have been sore after that, but having a time. And Grant Birchall... It is confirmed.
Possibly.
Who's the lady in the hat? Was it a dress up or is that just a normal outfit?
No, it was just a hat. It was, yeah.
Does he know that vision exists?
I don't know. Someone found it. Must be out there because someone found it. I definitely didn't give it to him, Fakes.
Well, so that wasn't after the premiership. That was just.
That was after my 40th.
5 years ago.
We'll be back with the swipe up next.
I've got Caro's swipe tonight. I'm going to go with the Essendon CEO Craig Bosso after these comments.
Yeah, I think certainly as a club, I'd prefer, and certainly our members have made it real clear to us, the difficulty, particularly those with young families during a school year and the country members as well. It's been tough for them Thursday nights. So for us, having this number of, certainly not a request that we made. Okay. So having less for us would be great.
No, Craig, your supporters don't want to go on a Thursday night because you haven't won a final in over 7,500 days. That's the reason. And it's going to be probably 8,000 before you win a final. So that's the reason why they're not going on a Thursday night. They got to stay, go to work, kids got to go to school. That's my swipe.
Yeah, good swipe.
Aggressive
good
swipe.
If I
A bit aggressive, sorry, Craig. Bit aggressive.
Going to go that hard. We would have done that off the top of the program. Unfiltered tomorrow night. He's absolutely flying with Hamish McLaughlin. Great footy story, the Brownlow medalist Tom Mitchell. And then Daisy and Hodgie for Thursday night
But
footy.
the bloke on the right's not playing.
He's not playing, but it's still a top 8, top 4 deciding matchup on a Thursday night. The Bulldogs taking on the Giants. We'll see how the Bulldogs go. And then Friday night footy's also a big
Massive
one in
game.
Adelaide for my Hawks taking on the Crows, live and free on 7. And we'll be back on the agenda setters on Monday night. See you later, folks.
Give me a man after midnight. Work it out.
On Outback Truckers, there's headaches on the horizon for Steve Graham.
I've got to get to the turn-off before that storm.
Taking on the Tanami.
It's a big leak.
With a